Every time you read, your brain transforms. Literally, it transforms. There is a real physical transformation. Every time you read, your brain physically changes. I mean, make this very clear. This isn't motivation, it's biology. When you look at letters on a page, you don't just use your sight, your brain also activates several areas at the same time. For example, the visual area recognizes symbols. The language area translates them, memory compares them, imagination creates images, and emotions react. So reading books is very important for manifesting, and it's very important for changing the information in your mind for the better and having a better life. In other words, when you read, it's like doing a complete neural workout. But here's the most incredible part. Every time you read, it strengthens the connections between neurons. New information creates new neural groups. This process is called neuroplasticity. Literally, you're creating new mental circuits. That's why people who read a lot remember better, think more clearly, and make smarter decisions. Because they're not just accumulating information, they're training the structure of their thinking. The brain is complex, and understanding it helps us live better. There are neuroimaging studies that show something surprising. When you read about an action, your brain simulates it. For example, if you are reading about walking on the beach, the same areas are activated as if you were actually walking on the beach. This is magical. Your brain doesn't completely distinguish between living and reading. That's why reading is an amazingly positive mental experience for you. And logically, it's risk-free and very cheap. What kind of books transform the mind the most? Well, fiction entertains the mind, but well-chosen non-fiction, neuro-non-fiction, restructures it, changes your mental models, and that's why it changes your decisions. Personal development and neuroscience books not only inform, they also train your way of thinking, and your way of thinking ends up designing your life. Now let's talk about whether to read on paper or on a screen. Reading on paper is much better than on a screen, because reading on paper improves retention. Because your brain creates a kind of mental map of the information on the screen, processes it, it changes something temporary, but on paper it interprets it better. Also, paper invites deep attention while the screen encourages quick scanning. One builds memory, the other just consumes data. Reading on paper not only informs you, it reprograms you, and it's very important for manifesting the life you want. Each page you read is a new map inside your mind. Write in the comments. Today I train my brain by reading, and if you want a suggestion for a good book, my book Conscious Wealth Manual. It's fantastic. It's fantastic, wonderful, practical, and everyone who reads it improves their life and lives better. Every year, comment the word book and you will receive information. Your life is shaped by your mind. It's not what happens to you, but how your mind interprets and remembers it. What lives there is what you are going to manifest. So if you want to change your life, you have to reprogram your mind. Listen to this carefully. You don't see reality as it is, you see it as you are. Your mind is a filter, and that filter was programmed between the ages of 0 and 12. The phrases you heard, what your parents believed about money, how they talked about love, how they reacted to fear, all of that created your internal software. What lives in your mind is what you will manifest in your life. This is important for manifesting. And that software you recorded today decides how much money you allow yourself to earn, what kind of partner you can have and choose, how much success you tolerate, and even how much suffering you accept. And here's the tough part. Your mind doesn't look for what's best for you. It looks for what's familiar. Even if what's familiar is scarcity, even if it's a hard life, what's familiar, even if what's familiar is conflict, even if what's familiar is self-sabotage. That's why many people say, I want to change. I want to change once and for all. I want to change now. But they're repeating the same pattern over and over again. Because your desire isn't enough to change, only what's in your mind matters. You have to change the program. You have to reprogram your mind. And this isn't just about repeating empty phrases. It's about installing new beliefs with emotion and repetition. How do you do this? 1. By changing what you consume every day, your mind is fed by what you hear, see, and repeat. 2. By changing your internal dialogue. The voice you hear the most is your own, so the way you talk to yourself is the way you live. 3. By visualizing intensely, with emotion, your brain doesn't clearly distinguish between what is imagined and what is lived. What you repeat with emotion, it integrates as truth. If you keep thinking the same, you'll keep living the same, but changing your internal narrative changes your identity. And what happens when when you manage to change your identity, that your reality? It won't have any other option. It won't have any other choice but to adjust to your new mental state. Your life doesn't change when you get luckier. It changes when you think differently. You don't transform your life by changing the outside. You transform it by changing the operating system you have inside, by changing your mind. Write in the comments, I reprogram my mind. Save this video and start today. Let me remind you that if you want good guidance on how to reprogram your mind and how to improve your life, my book, Manual of Conscious Wealth, will provide you with a lot of important information. Comment the word book and you will receive the information. Only future millionaires will understand this. I'm going to say something that's not a coincidence. If you're watching this video, it's because you're not an average person. And I'm not saying this to motivate you. I'm saying it because I know it. There are people who were born to survive, and there are people who were born to expand. And do you know that you belong to this second group? Even if you don't have money right now, even if you're in debt, even if no one around you believes in you, there's something inside you that doesn't accept a small life. That's what it means to have a millionaire mindset. A future millionaire isn't someone who already has millions. It's someone who doesn't give up, doesn't identify with their current situation, doesn't believe their tough moment, doesn't give it credibility, doesn't swallow it, doesn't accept it. When you're down, but you know that's not your destiny, that's where it all begins. Millionaires, before they became one, had something in common. They had a total and irrational conviction. They didn't know how, but they knew they were going to make it. They didn't have a perfect plan, but they had a strong identity. And listen to me carefully. Wealth doesn't start in your bank account, it starts in your identity. When you decide that your situation of lack is temporary, when you decide that your story doesn't end here, when you decide that you are different, because yes, you are different. If you ever felt out of place, if you thought differently than others, if you didn't fit in, that wasn't a flaw. That was a sign that you didn't come here to be an average employee. You came to create something of your own, something big. Millionaires think differently, like you. Millionaires see opportunities where others see problems, like you. They take responsibility where others place blame, like you. And above all, they don't negotiate with their greatness. If right now you're going through a difficult stage, this is just a stage. It's not your end, it's your training. And when everything turns in your favor, because it will, this is how it's going to happen, then you'll remember this moment today, not because I told you, but because you always knew it. Not everyone will be a millionaire, but every millionaire knew first that they would be. Write in the comments, I am not an average person, and save this video. Are you going to want to watch it again when everything changes? The key to manifesting effortlessly. Pay attention to what I'm telling you today. Look, if the problem isn't that it's hard for you to manifest, but that you're trying too hard, we already know that trying too hard is counterproductive. Most people try to create their life through action, worry, and control, and that's exactly what blocks them. There is a mental state called coherence, alignment, or control, or inner clarity from where things start to happen, on their own, all by themselves. When you're in that state, you think better, decide better, attract better, but when you're not in that state, you have to constantly push through life, and that's where exhaustion is born. You also try to convince, force, chase, explain, and all that. What happens then? Not only does it take 3 times as much effort and leave you exhausted, but you also don't manifest because you're blocking yourself. So you're trying to create from resistance and manifestation. It doesn't fail because of a lack of action. It fails because of too much contradiction. It fails because of too much internal contradiction. Your mind wants something, but your emotions say it's not going to happen, and the brain always follows the dominant emotion. That's why there are people who seem lucky, not because they do more, but because they think without internal conflict. Take good note, today's video is very interesting. When your thought, emotion, and identity align, you enter a state of clarity. You have to be in flow, enjoying, going with it, and from there something curious happens. You make better decisions without thinking about it, you say the right words without preparing them, opportunities appear without looking for them. It's not magic, it's mental coherence, flow, but also with clarity of desire. Manifesting effortlessly doesn't mean doing nothing. It means stopping acting from tension. So first you align your mind, then reality follows. Write in the comments. I choose to create from coherence and from enjoyment. Your nervous system can't hold more money than it's holding right now. And now I'm going to teach you how to expand that limit. For example, have you ever worked harder, learned more, and put in more effort, yet your bank account always returns to the same amount? What you have, what you earn, what's there, always repeats itself. Listen, this is because of a very specific key, which is the following. Your nervous system has a set point for the amount of money you have right now. You don't earn what you desire, you earn what your body feels is safe to hold. And this isn't just about money, it's about everything. For example, it has to do with how much responsibility you can tolerate, how much visibility you can handle, how much success you can sustain without feeling afraid. Between the ages of 0 and 12, your subconscious recorded stories. For example, money takes a lot of effort. If you stand out, people criticize you. If you earn more, people envy you. If you succeed, you lose friends, and all of these are danger signals. Your subconscious thinks you will die from these dangers. And even if you consciously say you want to earn more, your nervous system might be saying that's not safe, I don't feel safe, I've never experienced it, I don't know what it's about or what it does. So, does it hold you back? How does it hold you back? By procrastinating right before launching something big, spending money when you finally start earning more, feeling exhausted when an opportunity comes, keeping yourself busy with things that seem productive but don't generate income. It's not sabotage, it's self-protection. Your body is just trying to keep you in the familiar area, in what your subconscious, what your body considers safe. So, how do you expand your wealth container? Point number 1. First, identify your average income from the last 6 months. That's your current set point. Second, ask yourself with brutal honesty, what do I think I would have to sacrifice if I earned twice as much? Nothing. Generally, you don't have to sacrifice anything, but think about it, just in case. Who would be uncomfortable with my success? What part of myself would I have to change? And now comes the real expansion. Don't try to win more. The first thing you have to do is get your body to feel safe with more. So breathe when you feel afraid. Don't spend out of urgency. Don't run away when the opportunity comes. Hold the discomfort without escaping. That's when your nervous system will learn that growth isn't dangerous and, above all, not a matter of life and death, which is what you tend to think. And when your body feels safe, abundance stops being an effort and becomes your new normal. In conclusion, you don't need more strategy or more work, you need your body to feel safe being bigger. Write in the comments, I'm ready. Money doesn't change you, it simply shows you and reveals you. I'm going to tell you something that might make you a little uncomfortable. If money isn't coming into your life, it might not be that you're consciously avoiding it, but that you're avoiding it emotionally. When you hear the word money, what do you feel? You feel stress, problems, corrupt people, negative ambition. So your mind does something automatically, it perceives it as a danger, and everything your brain perceives as a danger, it rejects. That's why many people say they want abundance, but unconsciously they're blocking it because they believe that money changes people. This is very important. Money doesn't change people. The truth is something else. Money doesn't change anyone. Money amplifies what you already are. That's it. It just shows you amplified. If you're generous, you'll be more generous. If you help, you'll help more. If you have light, you'll shine even brighter. The problem isn't wanting money. The problem is believing that you're not worthy of handling it, of having money, and as long as you have that belief, your mind will protect you by keeping it away. So today I encourage you to change your perception. I encourage you not to reject money, neither consciously nor unconsciously. Become someone capable of using it well, and write here in the comments, I am a good person with abundance. The secret is to stop chasing money. The more you chase money, the more it will attract, run away from you. And it's not cheap spirituality, it's a psychological law. Money is not a goal, it's a consequence. Money is stored value. That's why there are people who work 12 hours a day and stay the same. However, other people generate income even while they sleep. They're not chasing money, they're generating value. Most people think, how can I make more money? But the right question is, who should I become? Because wealth follows this formula. Be more, do more, and then you'll have more. But first, it's about being more and being better. If you improve your skills, your mindset, your impact, your money will grow automatically. But if you only look to get paid without growing inside, without transforming yourself, your finances can get stuck. The market doesn't pay for effort, it pays for transformation. Stop obsessing over making money and start obsessing over bringing value to other people. Write down here below, I become someone valuable. The paradox. You make money when you stop thinking about it. Money starts coming to you when you stop thinking about yourself and about money. Most people ask themselves, what do I get from this? That mindset creates noise. Money is an exchange of energy. Money only flows to those who solve problems. To solve problems, you have to think about other people's problems. When someone focuses on selling, they earn little. When someone focuses on helping, they earn a lot. Why? Because the human brain detects that intention, it senses that you're only thinking about yourself. And what people like the most is when you solve their problems. Nobody wants to give money to someone who just wants to take it from them, but everyone wants to pay someone who improves their life. Abundance appears when you change the question from, how do I charge? Or when do I get paid? To how do I help? At that moment, your work stops being pressure and becomes attraction. Don't chase clients. Turn your life into service and clients will look for you. Write in the comments, I choose to serve and prosper. It's unfair that I can't have more money. We've heard this from many people. Well, it's not that you can't earn more money, it's that money doesn't trust you and that's why it doesn't come to you. Few people admit something very uncomfortable. You can work harder, learn more, and put in more effort, but your bank account still doesn't grow or become any better. It's not a lack of effort, it's a lack of energetic coherence. On one hand, money is not just energy. When we don't understand this, everything gets worse and we never fully integrate it. On the other hand, we've tried many times in many ways to earn more money, and since we haven't succeeded, we've stayed there believing that it's very difficult. So most people try to increase their income by doing more things. But money doesn't respond to the amount of action, it responds to the identity from which you act. Because money is not just economics, it's a perception of value. If deep down you think I'm not enough, this is too expensive, people won't pay that much money for what I sell, then your brain sends out a silent message that says my value is low, and the market always confirms what you believe about yourself. Since money is a contribution of value and you believe you bring little value, you will receive little money. That's why there are people with less preparation who earn much more than you, and very capable people who remain blocked. They don't sell services, they sell inner security and they don't even know it. Conscious wealth, which is what I do, does this mean that? Don't try to convince the world, you first have to align with yourself. Practical exercise, do it today, right now for 24 hours. Remove this phrase, it's expensive. Remove it, remove it, remove it and replace it. What level of value is here? What level of value can I bring? Because when you stop seeing expenses, you start seeing value and your mind learns to allow greater income. Your financial reality doesn't change when you work more. Your financial reality changes when your identity expands and improves. First, you become someone valuable, then the money reflects it. Write down here in the comments, my value increases and so does my income. If you want to know more about how to live better in every way, I encourage you to get my book, Manual of Conscious Wealth. Write the word book in the comments and you will receive information.